Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Capital Fit podcast. I'm here in studio with my friend Marc Rogers. We're down here at the Pod Populi podcast studios. We had Raven just got everything set up here, so thank you, Raven. Marc, you're in Scottsdale. You just landed from Chicago today. Welcome to the studio. Welcome to Scottsdale.
Well, I always love getting time with you. So first off, that's a huge win. Secondly, it was a balmy minus 6 in Chicago. And so I flew in my jacket and was freezing cold. And, you know, now we're here in the perfect time of the year. We got a lot of things coming up. Waste management's around the corner.
Barrett-Jackson.
Scottsdale's starting to buzz a little bit. So you and I both have a passion for Arizona. So I love being here. So thank you.
It's when we've had our friendship for 10 years. Marc and I go way back 10 years. We'll talk more about what Marc does because, you know, Capital Fit, my brand, my logo, is really about innovating, collaborating, and making great things happen.
I love that.
You have done that in your career spanning over 20 years. You have built a phenomenal business, which we'll talk about. But, you know, we're here. First thing I want to say is really I just want to honor the fire victims of California. I'm wearing my little corsage here.
I saw that.
As a memory of those folks who just went through hell and went through fire. And I ran into some people yesterday at the mayor's inauguration. Lisa Borowski, shout out to her and her success in winning the race. And I ran into a top architect, and he's got an office in Beverly Hills he can't even get into. And so many friends and people have lost their lives and their property. And friend in Malibu, it's just phenomenally crazy what's happening, the devastation. So we would just want to say a prayer and a thought about them. And so what do you have to say, Marc?
You know, I'm originally from California, and one of my best friends, he grew up in Altadena, and his mother lost a house. She was just on, in fact, New York Times did a big piece. They flew out, did a big piece on his mom. And you know, I was talking to my buddy who it's not just the things, right? Yes. But it's the items you don't think about until they're gone,
right? That
you can never replace.
Right.
And it's the memories. It's him playing in that grass in his front yard as a little kid, shooting baskets. Right. It's the pictures, right? It's the family history, and it really makes you think that as these natural disasters tend to be popping up all over the place, or just how quickly things can change. You know, what's your house? Is your house in order? That's number one that brings to my mind. Is your house in order? Right. Number two is, I told my wife, you know, like, hey, we need to get all of our pictures, any of the family stuff, genealogy, things that we have, like, let's get that digitally scanned today, because you just never know when that's going to be gone. And so it's that, right? It's the pain of that. You can replace the couch.
Yes.
You can replace the dishes.
Yeah.
But it's the memories of the family. And so, hey, this is a great wake-up call for a lot of places. Right. You know, I grew up in Northern California. I played junior college football up near Chico and Yuba City in that area. When the Paradise big fire happened a handful of years ago, friends, family lost, you know, homes are devastated, still hasn't come back, you know, from that. So this is a big challenge. And, you know, this is a time that we, as in other states, friends, that we can all pitch in, that we can go help, because these people are in need. And so I'm right there with you. I appreciate you saying something about it.
Well, absolutely, Marc. I mean, you're in the wealth advisory business. You're helping people plan. You have 400 brokers within your firm, Prosper Wealth Partners, and you're helping people plan for potential disasters like that. And you have a passion for that. Of course, I've been in the industry for 30 years, and we'll talk a little bit more about our recent affiliation and exciting news that we'll let our listeners know here. But tell me about, you know, because this really just hits home here, because like you just said, you just nailed it without even talking. You just know the essence of what you got to do to take care of your family, and you help people do that, and you have 400 brokers doing the same thing.
Yeah, you know, I think about in the times that we are, and these are truly unique times. I don't think that the stars have quite aligned like this. This just feels different, right?
Yeah.
But I tell investors all the time, one, you buy car insurance because there's a chance that you may get into an accident, right? That's why you buy the insurance. You buy homeowners insurance because heaven forbid you have a fire or something like that in the home, which that hits real right now, right?
Right.
But who's putting an insurance policy on your retirement?
Right.
And I'm sort of a Warren Buffett enthusiast. His whole aspect of his rules to investing, when rule number one of Warren Buffett, who I think is, probably known as one of the most successful investors.
Right.
And rule number one is don't lose money. And rule number two is refer back to rule number one, right? Don't lose money.
Right.
That also hits home for us because it feels like just yesterday we were in the pandemic mess. Certainly right behind it is 2008 when that was devastating for so many people. Oh, and remember when .com became .gone overnight?
Yes.
Right? That was a big wake-up call. So you think about, we have this peak 65, 11,200 people, Americans, retiring a day right now. And what's staggering is something only like 25% of those retiring or turning 65 right now have some form of defined benefit pension plan. So the old three-legged stool of retirement, personal savings, Social Security, and pension plan, now that stool is looking so much more wobblier, and people are worried. I mean, even no matter what economic level, when surveyed today, that 65-year-old population, and by the way, that's dropping down into those late 50s, number one fear that people are fearing about their retirement is the fear of running out of money. That's the number one most feared thing today when surveyed. That's what people are saying, Dan. Yeah. And here we are coming out of the longest equity bull run that we've ever been in. So you're talking about people have made more money in the stock market than they ever have, yet their fear, no matter what economic level, is fear of running out of money. And by the way, we have a solution. That's why I'm so excited to be here today, because we're bringing you, it's like you've been sitting in the bullpen for a little bit. You've been working on not only yourself, you've been working on helping so many people. And this used to be a big staple to how you're helping people. Right. And it was like, it was serendipitous, right? All of a sudden we were just kind of texting. Yeah, like rekindled.
2 months ago. I mean, you watch my social media posts, I watch yours, you listen to my podcast.
Forever.
Like that's, and then all of a sudden I'm doing a podcast in a building, in an office in the building that you're in. I send you a selfie and you're like, dude, I'm right up, I'm 3 floors ahead of you. Like,
it's crazy.
Yeah. And then, So
we're excited. We're excited.
I'm excited.
To kind of bring you out of the bullpen and get you back in front of your people, and just people need help today.
Yeah, right.
People need to be served. People need help, and I think that there's a lost art. I talk a lot about the fact that there's massive social science that tells us that purpose is one of the biggest motivators for why we do what we do. Right. And the problem with financial advisors is the fact that we have more how conversations. We have how to invest, how to do a Roth conversion. Yet the reality is I think that we need to get back to having more why conversations. Why do we do what we do? And really connecting over that, because that's so important. And so, look, we got a beautiful office here in Scottsdale that is all set up and ready for investors to come and walk through the door and relax. I think we built a nice, relaxing location that people can come get educated. We're so excited that you'll be part of the team and officing out with us and working with us. I just see massive growth here. Lots of people from out of state love coming to Arizona. They love the area, so we're excited.
Well, tell the listeners a little bit about your background. I mean, you're a 2-time best-selling author. You're a podcast host. You're a former, athlete, football. You got 3 great kids. I saw your wife on FaceTime today at the office. She's phenomenal.
Special. 2
dogs. You live in one of my favorite states, Utah, and we've shredded the slopes there together. in Alta and I think Deer Valley or Snowbird. It's a phenomenal vibe there in Utah. Great people, good energy. So tell us, the listeners, a little bit about your background. Of course, Northern California is where you grew up, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was I was an athlete. My dad was a principal football coach, wrestling coach. Mom's a CPA, owned her own accounting firm. So kind of just humble means of growing up. I'm the youngest of 5. Education is always kind of run through my entire family of educators. You're either an educator or you're an accountant. Take your pick. What do you want to be? And I didn't quite fit in the mold of either one of those. So I got a chance to play college football, which is awesome. I played quarterback, came back to the Sacramento area, and a family friend ran a major wholesaling company where they were developing insurance products, specifically annuities, and then they were developing those products and taking them out to financial advisors across the country. So I got to sit and be mentored by actually the guy who brought the first equity indexed annuity to the United States via Genesis, the actuary, and Keyport Life. He built the first. So his name is Doug McDermott. He's the guy that, took an interest. Thank goodness, took an interest in me. And he said, Mark, what do you want to do with your life? And, I didn't know at the time, right? I wanted to be maybe a football coach and all of that. And he said, look, here's a way that we can use your skill set of educating and also provide a life for your family like you've never imagined. Yeah. And what his words of what he said came true. He later sold that company to Allianz Life, the largest insurer in the world.
And wealth management company, too, because so when
they
people,
own
I think,
PIMCO.
when they think insurance, they're also managing the wealth of that they receive in premiums for long-term growth, hopefully conservative long-term growth. So you look back. I mean, I've been in the financial services field for 30 years, and I've chased after private equity deals and chased after unique real estate investments and tried to beat the S&P 500. And when we met 10 years ago, we were looking at supplementing some of my portfolio allocation to guaranteed products that had a guarantee to them. And it seemed that conversation was such an easy one with clients. We're talking about this sexy real estate deal or this new tech mutual fund that just rolled out, or how many the 5 top stocks to buy back in the day, what were in fashion that year. And those are exciting conversations, but a lot of times they became out of fashion. And they went down as much as they went up. So I really enjoyed you kind of educating me and really bringing that asset class to the client's portfolio, because it was a nice, again, the conversations were easy.
Well, and that's truly what it is, right? When I look at it, we tend to think about monies in buckets. Different functions of those buckets all collectively make up your plan, right? And how you're going to drain each one of those buckets through your retirement efficiently, and making sure that you answer the holy grail: am I going to outlive my income or not, right? And that's really what you're trying to answer there. So what's nice with the insurance, adding the insurance as an asset class, is the fact that where traditionally somebody's been told at 65 that the proper way to allocate your money was to take 60%, keep it in equities, take 40%, use it in bonds. Rightfully so, when interest rates are declining, the bond portfolio is a great way to be a safe money place that still plays a little bit of offense, right? Still has some rate of return. That by now fundamentally coming in and using the protected bucket, having a bucket that's just around principal protection, but still measuring to say a 4 to 9% rate of return in that margin. If you could have a bucket of money that didn't go down when the market goes down, you got to keep what you had when the market goes down.
Right.
You averaged a reasonable rate of return, and you took no interest rate risk, like a fixed income portfolio
look what happened
can.
in 08, 09. I saw municipal bond funds went down 30, 40%.
That's a great example.
I mean, like, this was supposed to be a stable NAV, 4% coupon. It's tax free interest. Municipal bonds in 08, 09 were down as a category, 40 to 50%.
Yeah, they call that redemption risk, right?
That was shocking.
Well, in 2022, 2023, we've seen bond volatility at kind of all-time highs because of that. So why take if you're using it,
the 40%,
why take the risk? If we can get to a reasonable rate of return,
yes.
And oh, by the way, this investment also kicks off income when needed.
Right.
So it's an income provider. That allows you in your other buckets that you have as part of your portfolio, that allows you to be able to do more private equity or take opportunity for risk because it won't be so heavy if something goes wrong.
Right.
It won't fracture. You won't be having to work, hopefully, at Walmart.
So it's
right?
It's a perfect storm. You got this gentleman, your mentor, got you in the business. You've stuck to that. You built a business with a partner. 3 years ago, you formed this new company, and you're crushing it. Last year, you told me you guys did over half. I mean, you brought in half $500 million of assets protected, and but not only that, you made a lot of you created portfolios that were much more risk averse and protected, because folks, I don't think, understand what they need to do when they're in retirement or when they're turning 65. And the other thing is the advisors that have been around the block 20, 30 years are going, oh my gosh, my clientele are now in their 60s and 70s. Now what? And so now there's an opportunity. They're coming into the business and allocating more of their portfolio to this bucket, right?
That's right. That's right. Well, think about it. You know, financial advice, it's kind of been like the 80s all over again, right? Where, you know, the old commercial of the monkey throwing the dart at the dartboard full of different .coms, and all he had to do was hit one and he had a great return, right? And so let's just call it what it is. If you've been an advisor over the last 13 years and the market's been just going crazy, you look like you're the smartest person in the world. What I tell investors is the true litmus test of an advisor is when the bad years. How did your advisor do in the bad years? That is the tale of, are you a good advisor or not? And that's the reality. Financial advisors are aging. We're not having enough new young advisors come into the business. That's a problem. And I just don't think where AI is really moving in different other sectors. I think that people still really appreciate a personal relationship when it comes to advising. I don't, the robo-advisor, although there is money in the robo-advisor, the personalized relationship, it's what I talked about at the beginning of this, about why and purpose.
The why.
You just can't recreate that in an AI bot. Fundamentally, the AI bot has never personally experienced it for themselves.
I'm glad you brought that up, because you said coming out of the bullpen, and I've been helping private equity companies launch and raise capital and consult, and really I'm coming back to my purpose. I served clients, as you saw when we first met and worked together for 3 years. I had a relationship with them. You came to my retirement party when I sold my practice and said, I'm going to jump into real estate and maybe a vineyard and some software companies and learn the startup world. And but I missed those relationships terribly, and those clients missed me. But you know, they had a gentleman that took over, and my assistant was with me for all those years, Mike Ward. Now is managing those clients. So it's really kind of come full circle. But I missed my purpose is to serve, and of course, I've been serving folks, educating them on the health and wellness space for the past 2 years. I've been on this complete, rocket ship journey of myself personally to get back to where I need to be at my age of 58. I've never felt healthier, and the universe keeps sending me the right people and connecting the right products, supplements, wearables that optimize me as an individual, so I can help others, because that's my whole motto. Capital Fit is, what is your wealth without your health?
Yeah.
And to come out of the bullpen, swing, and to help people that are in need of help. And I've been asked so many times, hey, I got this extra money over here. What should I do? I'm retiring. I got my inherited money. And I didn't have an outlet really because I was involved in other, opportunities, and I wasn't focused on that. And, of course, and now I'm joining your phenomenal firm. Your office is great. Your right-hand man, Brandon, I saw him today. I've known him all those years as well from another relationship, but he's a great guy, and you got a good team.
Well, we're excited, and we're so blessed, certainly, to have, somebody with such a decorated background. You and I got to sit in a wholesale retail relationship together.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw that. I attended, Christmas parties.
Right.
That your young girls at the time, man, that seems like that was yesterday.
Lauren and Emma. Yeah.
They were like young, like cute little singers and playing the guitar
Right.
and the whole thing and just warming and it was such a personal touch. And I watched the personal relationships that you had. And so I always knew that we were going to do something. So it's sometimes that's what it takes. The problem is, what you're doing is a great thing. And longevity also comes with a longevity risk, right? The fact is that you're trying to help people live longer. People are living longer, right? Longer, 8 more years. The boomers today are 8 more years than their parents. The reality, the sad thing is that they're not necessarily living healthier lives.
Right.
And so you got a plan, and you got a plan to make sure that at the end of that retirement, with those chronic conditions, with those things that are sitting and looming out there, what can you be doing today? So you're trying to get ahead of it and help them. But also when you push somebody's retirement out an extra 10 years or 20 years even, now the challenge becomes and this is what you're going to help people answer. Great, now that I've got you living longer and you're going to have some more fun, we also got to make sure that money lasts to make sure it's there. And that's the glue.
It is.
The glue is if people have a plan and they know that they can sleep at night no matter what the market sequence. I like to coin the phrase, how much correction protection do you have in your retirement? Like if you can answer those things, that also takes that peace of mind. That also allows somebody to have more fun and spend more time with the grandkids. My mom the other day, I'm one of 5 kids, and there's like 17, 18 grandkids in my family. I have some of the young ones, and my mom was making a comment the other day of, we love the grandkids so much. If we knew how much fun they were, we would have had them first. And you're like, thanks, Mom. I think you took a jab at me, but I'm glad you love the grandkids, right? But that is a reality, helping people, accomplish those things that they've always really wanted to and do those things, have the boat, have the travel, have the experiences with their kids and grandkids. And then lastly, most importantly, is how do you leave that legacy?
Right.
I think it was Robert Kiyosaki that said,
who's here in Scottsdale?
He was right here. Yeah. He said, it's not how much money you make, but how much money you keep. Right?
Yeah.
It's not how much money you make, but how much money you keep.
Yeah. So what plays into that are taxes. Obviously, when there's market cycles and you're in a 60-40 portfolio, people panic and they call their broker and say, I want out. I experienced that. So I had to have the client email, right? I want to do this, Dan. We have a change of plans and we're kind of nervous. This is like, I've been in this business since 96. So we've seen some ups and downs and, battle tested here, right? Battle scarred. And I see the wisdom of what you're doing. That's why I'm so excited to affiliate with your firm, and your philosophy ties in with me because, you're a family guy, great health, great mind. You want to help out advisors to help out their clients. So you want to complete that full circle. And then obviously you got a great, clear mind, you're great health. You're a great example of living, what's your wealth without your health? You embody all that. So that's why I appreciate Prosper Wealth Capital and your team that you have here, and you have some teammates in Minneapolis and one in South Carolina, John. And then I'm excited to help build out, the brand here and the office here and get people where they need to go,
Amen, brother.
Yeah,
Let's get started.
absolutely.
Thanks for having me on.
Mark, great to see you here. Marc Rogers with Prosper Wealth Capital. We're glad you're here. We're going to have you on and again, and because we're going to be doing some great things together.
Let's do it. I'm
Thanks.
excited. Thank you. Appreciate it.